We've got a few more people that are in the background now who don't have their videos on, so evening to you all. So those new to Zoom or not new to Zoom, you'll have a chat box when you hover down the bottom, and just posted a tweet that you can send out to or retweet to tell other people about tonight's presentation. We might just wait a few more minutes though. Though Jeff, I can invite you to give the 5 to 10 minute rundown on the site awards if you want to.
5 or 10, geez, I don't think I've got enough information to fill 5 or 10 at the moment.
It didn't quite get over the line this week, I think, with
yeah, we nearly did, but we were going to do stuff today, and Carly and I, every time we sat down to do something, one of us had something to do and have to race off. Then by the time we arranged to get back again, the other person had something. Give it a miss towards late afternoon. But we're getting there. The content's coming up in the background and that's and I've been in touch with judges, a couple of judges so far. I've still got to get on board with the others. Because one of the things I want to do, I took off the Australian site awards. They put, each of the judges put down what they consider themselves as being an award-winning website.
Okay.
So I thought that would make an interesting read for people to submit and so on.
Yep. So when we were talking the other day, you've revamped the categories, which might be...
We have revamped the categories. We've tried to broaden them and make them more inclusive. We're still deciding on finite rules, such as one site can be submitted to 2 categories. You can submit multiple sites, but of course, so if that makes sense. If you've got 10 sites you want to submit, you can submit 10 sites. But any one site only gets submitted to the maximum of 2 categories. And don't ask what all the categories are now. I forget. I brought up Slack to find it.
And entries free is the other.
At this stage, yes. I'm hopeful that the sponsor that we could see, it doesn't cost a lot to run the site awards, which is a good thing.
Depends on how lucrative the prize money is, Jeff.
Well, that's true. That only happens if I win. What was I going to say? But apart from that, it's just the trophies, the certificates, dual certificates this time because so that you can give one off to the company and keep one for yourself. Like assuming the site's been done for another company or whatever, you can pass one on. They were eagerly took mine last time, so they were happy to pin them up on their wall. So I suppose it's a diverse way of advertising, actually, isn't it? We slip these things in.
Your award icons on your website, and it was.
Oh, the new website's got them. We'll look at that tonight because I'm showing off a few of the sites. My website's very slow because it's the last one that gets any work all the time. My new one. It is getting there, but we've been working on it on and off. Paying customers just get the thrust first. But I won't mention anything about that. I'll use up some of my talk. But apart from that, I would expect we'll put it on Slack and we'll post it everywhere we can as soon as the site awards documentation, everything's up there basically, which shouldn't be too far off. Hopefully another week and we'll have it all up there. Yep. But like you said, we are revamping. We've taken ideas from the Australian site awards. I've already had Mick doing his job, telling me how I should be wording things. So that's why we put him in there. If I've left to my own devices, it would be open like a leaky bucket.
Yes. So if anyone's not subscribed, or sorry, anyone that's interested in the site awards and not subscribed yet to the Joomla Australia website. So if you've been previously to a Joomla Day event, previously to have an account on the forum, or previously some other way we've got your email address through authorized means, then expect to see an e-newsletter soon. Otherwise, just send a message through, if you don't think you're subscribed, to myself or Stuart, and we can access the back end and get in and check whether you're subscribed, and make sure that you don't miss out on the newsletters that we're going to start sending out. So we're effectively going to basically have a regular newsletter coming out from now on the week before the user group, to announce the user group and everything else that's going on. And so it will be hopefully finger on the pulse as to what's going on with Joomla around the world. I'm also on the magazine committee. The magazine team are editing the final parts of all the articles at the moment. I've got 2 that I've got to finish editing tonight. And that's due out on the 20th of each month. So there's 15 articles this month that would be quite interesting. Robert, I've got to remember to chase you up again on getting you involved again. They're after proofreaders at the moment for a few things. So we'll go with that. Mick, I don't know how you've managed to escape having a login to the website at all, considering how involved you are with the Stack Exchange stuff.
Pretty crafty.
Very crafty. It also gets you out of having to create the content for the site awards on the back end. So. All right, so what we'll do now, we might get started. I think we've sort of the flow of people coming in slowed down a bit. So I'll hand over to Jeff to host. If I could ask Robert, Barry and Cass, if you can all mute so that we're not accidentally interrupting Jeff, and enjoy quicker than Quix, or quicker with Quix, I should say.
Right. Is my screen still shared? No?
Yeah.
No, I turned that off earlier when we were...
Oh, did you? Right, let me go again then.
Yeah.
How's that?
That's better.
Perfect.
Yeah, great.
Great. Now, I just noticed how small that text is on there. That is shocking. But anyway, forgetting about the text size that says shocking.
Yeah, that's fine.
Hey, it's fine. Better eyes than mine.
Exactly, just like Nick.
Oh, yes. Anyway, that's a bad example of text sizing, and I wouldn't normally do that. I don't know what happened there, or whether the clients have been playing with it. But anyway, I'll have a look at that at another time. What I'm going to do first with Quix. Quix is just a page builder. So to keep it simple, the content area of a template is where a page builder sits, or anything you create with a page builder sits within the content area only. If you build a template and say you've got right-hand modules, for instance, those module positions are still available and you can use them outside of the page builder. So if you can imagine the page builder, it just uses a content area. But of course, if you don't use any module positions, then the content area basically becomes the whole page, as you'd expect to see it on a website. To give you an idea here, that's not a good example, actually. We'll go somewhere else. Here we are. Here's one we did just the other day. This one, for instance, this site took about a day and a half to do. To give you an idea.
Gosh.
All we're waiting on, this is nearly finished. We're just waiting on the client's logo. We've put a logo in there at the moment, but apparently they've got their own that's coming. About us, yes. Meet the team. Oh, look, there's a familiar face there, Stuart. Crystal Healing.
She'd be more familiar if she showed up to these things.
She should show up to these things, actually, because she's supposed to be learning to use Quix.
Yes, indeed.
Rainforest Retreat. We're still waiting for some text for there, obvious. Timetable, I think. Yeah, same thing. Timetable we're still waiting on. So we've filled in everything we've been supplied content for. I Oh, that was one thing I must say. We were supplied content. So pictures, everything were made available to us straight away. So that does make the thing a lot quicker, as I'm sure most of you are aware, if you've got the content and the text sitting there. That's about it. Right. So that's one example. One thing I do like, it allows you to get quite stylish. I'm not saying this particular site is stylish. This is my new site that's coming along. There we are, Site Awards. Hopefully I'll be adding to them this year, but I don't know. There's some good work out there now. So it won't be so easy, especially with the new weighted system. That's the other thing we took just on the Site Awards. We've used a weighted marking system, which hasn't been finalised, but basically it allows every judge to be weighted on their specialty so that the marks come out evenly. Mick's shaking his head. I don't know how it's going to work, but we don't know until we try it. Once again, taken from the Australian Site Awards. Hardstiff Heaven, I've got this here. This is also an existing site we're building at the moment, not completed. We'll actually be building a page on this tonight as a sample build. Thus, I'm set up already in the background there. Another site, the only hold up, once again, we're waiting on content. So, yes, where's he got content? I think he's got content in 2 areas at the moment. I'd love $1 for every site that gets held up, or each day it gets held up waiting for content. Anyway, where are we? This is one that is completed. It was finalized this week. But it's a shopping site, and if you don't like the design, I'm sorry about that. Our designer actually did a very nice design, and then the customer, who is a fashion designer, redesigned it because she knows better. I don't know if she actually sells any of this stuff. I'm not a fashion designer. To give you an idea, but these little scraps of materials and that, oh, they're cheap, 120. She has stuff on here just with patches of different material worth, $300 and $400.
We're in the wrong business.
That's what I said when I was putting this site together.
What e-commerce system are you using, Jeff?
Jada Store.
Okay.
I bent to Stuart's rule. No, actually, since we put the time into Jada Store, it's been very good. And the biggest thing, as Stuart pointed out earlier to me in the piece, was their willingness to support it. Yep. And to help.
And it implements well within the page builder also.
Yes, it's very good to work together. There's actually a crossover between them, so you can actually run things like galleries and that, Jada Store galleries and things like that.
Okay.
Within your page build. Have I got another? Where am I up to? We done that. Projects there. This was, once again, this is just a straight rebuild of a site, and it was pretty easy to whack together just with a new design because they were getting dated. And I think that's about it at the moment. So we'll go back here. We'll go to the dashboard. Yep. Yeah. Right. So does everyone understand what I mean by the content area of a template? Well, nearly everybody. Silence means yes, that's good.
Yes.
So consequently, when we look at pages or we're building pages, that's the area we're going to fill up. Now, what I do, obviously, we still need a template. This is not like Gridbox, for instance, which has a preset template that you build into, and it's all in one. This is purely a page builder. So consequently, I design a template first, and we usually start from the same base template. We have just standard module positions and that in case we want to add to it. But we don't always use them. And the header and the footer normally is done within the template as well, just so I can put them in separate wrappers and do different things to them. Like, for instance, which one was it? Not this one so much. Even this one that's floating up through there, but this one. Like having the laptop go up through the top and things like that. I wouldn't have been able to do that without having the template with its separate wrappers and so on, and being able to put the negative values in to do that. So, like I said, this is our page builder. It's just a fast way of putting together a template, not a template, sorry, putting together your page content itself, and that's what it's meant for. Like a lot of page builders, some still are, it used to be very modular when you were doing things. If we just go and look at a page, for instance, at the moment, we'll go to this one. This is probably the longest part, initializing the builder for each page. So here we're looking at the content of the page builder, which shows up. So if we go and look at that on the site, for instance, it'll give us an idea where it's sitting at. We go contact us. So we've still got our header here. We've still got all our footer. And the part we built in the page builder is in the center here.
Okay.
Kill that. Back to there. It probably wasn't the best page to pick, was it? Services home page, maybe. There's a bit on that. It's just like a lot of these things. Now, what I was going to say, a lot of page builders still are, they, instead of using this format, they're still basically the same. They use columns, they use rows. But they actually just have dropped in little name modules rather than, as you see here, we've actually got pictures, content and everything sitting in there. So it's very visual when we're working on it. We see the end result as opposed to, well, the earlier version of Quix, for instance, used to be the same. And it was very difficult remembering what was where, what you've put into which text box and things like that. You'd have to look back to your front page and check it that way. Whereas now, because this is so graphical, it becomes child's play, really, putting these things together. Down here, for instance, we've got add section, add template. If we choose add template, that allows us to choose from preset templates that's on there, and they've got a lot of them. Depending, you know, you can pick up a whole series of pages that would build a site for you. They've done, each month they put out a new template set, basically, for a theme. I tend not to use their whole page, if that makes sense, but you can drop it in and then take part of it out and save it as your own. Like if we go to here, for instance, testimonials, these are ones that have been saved off so that we can drop them in again. And they've been remodeled the way we wanted them. Right, this is where I was talking about. These are full pages here. Home cleaning business. This is the newest one they just dropped in. Obviously, you can tell by the COVID-19 and so on. Probably the easiest way, if I just pick up one of those. I'll go back to here for a minute. We'll do sections. Tell me if I'm moving too quickly. I tend to overshoot things. But for instance, say down the bottom of this page now, we just wanted to put in some FAQs. So what we do is click on insert. Yep. Wait a second, and then we've got them. Then from there, of course, we can change text, we can change icons, we can change anything. To look inside and change that, for instance, click on our little pen. We've got that. We've got the title is up there, the content. Then we've got a link if we want it linked. And then we've got the image and icon, of course, just here, and the alt text. And a caption if we wanted the caption for the picture we're using. Styles, so you can style it. One thing I must mention, when I use this, it's my rule of thumb to always, in the template, set all my styles, all my default styles for headings, text, and everything else, so it just carries through. So unless I actually go into this and change the fonts and so on, they'll automatically come through and follow through the whole website exactly how I wanted them in the first place, the color themes and everything. You could actually go into everything and change colors and fonts and paddings and everything individually if you wanted to. It does have that capability. Apart from, I won't go too much into all of this. Titles. This is, you know, these things are all the things you expect you'll be able to play with, like the font style there. Everything that's in there you can play with. Simple as that. Oh, by the way, this is called a blurb. that'll become more evident if next thing I'll do, so you can just see what a blurb is. That's a blurb. So this has just been a pre-formatted, and we can do this ourselves. If you build something and you think, oh, that was really nice, I might use that later, you can actually build this up and then save it off. Sissy, we're in my road. Sorry, over here. Oh, get up. Save. If I save it there, I'll save off that whole row. Let me go down again. I'm just going to add a section. And this is doing it manually now. So we can say, well, this section here, we want three columns. So now we've got 3 columns. Into these columns, we put what we call elements. Add an element, and then you get all of these, which there's quite a few. Video Pro, video carousel, video itself, just text as in standard text, testimonial carousel, which is the ones obviously that move, just a testimonial on its own, tabs, spaces to set spaces between different elements, social icons, and what am I going to do? We'll stick some of these in at the moment and we'll see what control we got over those, the same as the others. Smart tabs, Slider Pro, which only obviously comes with the Pro version. What was I going to say? But that was that full slider that you're seeing up the top, for instance. Person Pro. They're just raw HTML, OpenStreetMap, media carousel, a Joomla single article. So we can actually insert articles within here, ones we've written already. Module, which is Joomla module is very handy, especially when we're doing the shopping cart sites and that, because we can actually create a Joomla module and then we can drop it inside our Quix page. That's to do a whole Joomla articles is like doing blogs, basically. If you had a whole blog series written and you make that Joomla articles, then it's going to look after them like a blog would, setting up a predefined blog site. Images and icons, well, that's pretty straightforward. Icon list, same things, just allows you to put, instead of the standard ones you get in your editor, for instance, you can add any picture you like as your icon for lists and things like that. Heading is all your different header types. Better pick one of these and pull it out in a minute, eh? So that's our header we just picked then. And we've dropped into there. You see by default it's set to H2. We can make it linkable if we wanted to at this stage. Like I said before, we can change the style if we wanted to. Down here, pick a font. It's got, if you pick fonts, it carries just about, I think it's 600 of the Google fonts. So there's quite a font selection there. You can search, which is lucky. So we've made that latte, for instance, and it's changed. Apply it. I'll do it there. All right, we'll pick another element. Where were we? We're up to headings, weren't we? Yep. Google Maps. A gallery is just that. It's a gallery. Form. Oh, Flipbox. Playing with that the other day. Let's put one of them in. Additional back. Right. So with a Flipbox, we can have some text on it, give it a name, and obviously when it rolls over, we put down here, the back of it, it's basically the same again. We're putting what's on the other side.
Nice.
Apply it. Yeah, that's it. It's very good for certain, what do you call them? Some gallery stuff and that, for instance, when you want to explain, like I just did one of the builders site, we didn't look at it on there. I've got for some of his work. So it flips over and it gives a text of what he done and why he did it and so on. What else? Let's go back in. I hadn't quite finished all the elements. Advanced headings, they're just to allow you more graphical type headings. Accordion, which you know what the accordions are. alert, animated headline. Once again, just some of these things I haven't used. I haven't used an animated headline. I think that'd be a bit cheesy these days if we did things like that. The blurb. The blurb is, that's what I was getting to as well. We'll come back to that in a second. I'll drop the blurb in the third column there in a minute. We've got buttons, and then we've got call to actions. So you might say, what's the difference between the button and the call to action? Well, the call to action actually sets everything in, so I'll take that for now. And so that's what we've got. So we've got all the things to make up the call of action. We put our headline in that's going to attract them and pull them into our sales funnel. A bit about it, what they're getting themselves into, and the, you know, buy now or whatever. Boom, and away we go. Cancel. To get rid of something, if you don't want it, just right click. It gives you all your options, and then we can just delete it. And it's that easy. So with the blurb, which is what we had above, if I drop a blurb in now, it's a different blurb set up, slightly different, but we can style it to the way we want it. Image and icon. If we click on, no one's asked, no one's talking. If we click on, we can go off and pick up graphics. So that'll do us. Right. Apply. So we've dropped in our icon just there. This heading text. What else? And obviously, you know, we could continue on this way all the way. With the columns and so on, we can make these things row settings. And in reverse for mobile. It's now up in the row, is it? Wrong section. Cancel. I want the row. I just wanted to out here, hang on. Options, right click. Stretch, here we are, sorry. Didn't go out far enough. Stretch, yes, apply. So now this, where have I got? Oh, hang on, I've taken that out of there. Basically what I've done, but it's made this full width, full screen width now for this whole section, which I didn't really want to do just there. Went too high.
She's all right. She's all right. I'm not on I'm not, you know, on video or anything.
Right.
Just on sound. Stretch. Apply. Right. Now take that disable comment. Come on, with free detail. For something I do completely without. Why don't I save it for a minute? Go back. Whoops. Sorry, just bear with me for a second here. This is the only thing I don't like about Quix. If there's anything not to like, when I save it and go back, it multiplies the screens because every time you open a new page, it opens from Joomla itself, which can be very handy because you can walk away and leave it and come back to it. The disadvantage, of course, is that it keeps multiplying pages across the screen.
Excuse me.
So I didn't do what I wanted to do there. Module. Right. I'll kill
I'm
that.
out of here. I can't live here.
So I've been a little bit late or distracted or whatever. That's the reason. Hey, we've got a human back again. And looks like Jegs and Ro are lurking around somewhere, and we
Yes, it is.
Jeff, if you're looking for the row to make it full width, it's up in that row settings.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah, I think you've still got container though. Just go in there.
Have I?
Go in there.
I've set that.
Yeah, box. See container type.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Well done.
Full width.
Thank you
Well
for
done,
that.
Nicola.
I did push Nicola. Do you like this, Nicola, since I sent you this way?
Yeah, I've only used it the once.
Oh, great. I use it every day.
Oh, no, I only used it for the one site. Is it available yet to put into the actual article, or do you have to use it as a separate page still within the Quix builder?
No, you can use, well, yes, you can use it within a Joomla page as the editor. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can use it in there as the editor.
So if you've got an existing site that you want to sort of zhuzh up, you can install it and then use the existing
Yes,
editor to...
that was supposed to be the last, the article bit was supposed to be in the last update. The modules were already in there, so you could actually go in and build a module with it as the editor. I haven't actually tested that yet because obviously we just start from base all the time, but yeah, something I might try out tomorrow. Thank you for jumping in there, Nicola.
Right.
I was going spare. So if everyone missed that, like I did constantly, I got half of it, not the other half. It needs both. So yeah, apart from that, I guess it's probably a good time, not all at once, I guess, but some questions because short of showing all the things that you can shove into a page, which I could keep going forever, but that's sort of a pointless exercise. I've shown you some sites we've built with it, for instance. Like I said, my site has been built with it. It's coming along slowly. Slowly. But it does allow nice styling, which, you know, when your designer draws you something up, instead of thinking, oh, I can't do that, I'll have to scrap that idea. Now we're able to actually implement the full design. I guess nothing shows that better than this one, for instance, because when she first sent me this design, and I thought, what are you doing to me? How are we going to do that? But then having the template, the base template, setting this all up in the base template, but allowing it just to be, what do you call that, overlaid, and then putting the negative value up through here to raise all this upwards, it all worked out fine. And it's nice. And the other thing we had, of course, all these beaut ideas she had, that's what happens when you let designers loose and all they do is design. But I must say the output to me anyway is nice. It just makes us work that much harder all the time to see how we're going to implement that design.
Jeff, can I ask it's Barry here, can I ask a question about images?
Yes.
In Gridbox, when you place an image inside a square,
yep,
adjusting the size of the image is, it's like playing with a gun with a hair trigger. When you move the slider, the
oh yeah, no, this
incredibly rapidly.
It is. It doesn't work
what's it like in this?
No problem, because you can actually type in a size, or you can got a little up and down that'll move 1 pixel at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back to that page I've been destroying, home page. Wait until the hired help's back tomorrow and she goes to look at it. I didn't touch it. Right, let's go back into one of these. We'll just get rid of one of these here. Delete. And we'll put an image in. So we just want an image, just a standard everyday image. Like I said, just click on that. Let's see what I've got here. Oh, well, I might as well go through and upload. I did have some to bring in. Drive client. Just having a year. Where were they? Where were they in there? It doesn't matter which one I grab, does it? You can actually grab a few, so that'll be good. Open. Done. Says here, and then there's a refresh somewhere, refresh. Right, so say we want to bring this PC in, which, oh, this one might be even bigger, I think. I'm just trying to pick one that was bigger. Apply it. But what you're saying is if we want it smaller than that box, for instance. Barry. I can't hear you, sorry.
Yes, I'm back on now. I just muted again. So
yes, what you're saying is moving, as opposed to Gridbox, moving this and changing the size of the actual image now?
Yep.
Yep, rightio.
So in Gridbox, you bring up the properties pop
Yep.
up, and you've got this slider that you've got about 1.5 centimeters to move it, and it's not long enough.
Well, that'd be like
That's
this
a good
one's
size slider, yeah.
But see, the trouble, even moving that one's not real exacting, but what I do like, see, you can move pixel by pixel.
Yep. Well, Gridbox has that pixel by pixel as well, but it's good to be able to move quickly to a spot and then adjust. With Gridbox, that length of that slider it's very short.
You move pixels quickly, can't you? Even when it's short. Percentage was easier. Anyway, apply that. So it's a little one now.
Yep.
And talking about which, that is a little one. We've got areas. I didn't look at these things. We can have multiple, obviously within these, we can have multiple elements.
Ah.
I can add a box underneath, a button underneath that.
Yeah, of course. Yep. Okay.
I won't change anything at the moment too much, but we can keep going. Put a counter down underneath it. So that's it. So yeah, it's multiple ways, and you can keep going as well. We don't have to. We're not constrained by this size here that it is at the moment. The columns, the rows rather, will just keep widening out as we add more and more into it.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, please do.
In managing images, if I was to move an image in the media file structure, it might cause that image to be lost in a page somewhere because I've moved it. Is there a way in this system of finding out what pages use an image?
Very good question. There is one way I know. If you don't put your alt tags on until the last, because one thing I haven't mentioned yet, we haven't gone back to Quix. Quix has built-in SEO, and therefore it's going to highlight all the things that you have wrong with your page. So if you haven't put your alt tags on, for instance, then obviously it's going to highlight those images.
Yeah.
I
don't know what an alt tag is. Haven't got a clue.
It's just, basically it's there. So you imagine if the image doesn't turn up on your screen, you get a text that turns up saying this is an image of a computer, for instance.
Yep.
So you know what the image was meant to be. Yeah, it's an
And
attribute of the image.
Not a tag, yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm tag crazy lately. I've been doing Jada Store and I've been using tags for all manner of things for sorting. Yeah, so basically what it is, it's just for the browser. The browser knows that if it can't load the image for some reason, then it loads the alt tag, which will then be a text line of what have you written as the alt tag. From an SEO point of view, it's best to be as descriptive in that as you can of that image. So it actually does some good.
Good for accessibility, Jeff.
Sorry?
It's also good for accessibility. People who use screen-based text readers.
True.
Oh,
yeah.
Very true.
Yep.
Which is something we should be looking at because accessibility is something I believe that Google's starting on in 2021.
Yeah, it's pretty important.
Whereas obviously accessibility is not, I was going to say marked, but it's not rated by Google or tested by Google as yet. But I believe from the new set of things that are coming through in 2021 from Google, one of them will be accessibility testing as well. The same as what they do their mobile testing now. As you know, they test your web page from a mobile testing. They don't test it from an actual web page anymore. I mean, it's still a web page. That sounds a bit silly, but you know what I mean? They test it from the mobile's viewpoint. And that's what they look at. So it's very important to make sure that your mobile is working 100% just the same as the website is. I mean, given my time over again, I'd get rid of mobile devices. They're too small. I just keep these nice big desktops, but that's not the way of life. And we've got all these new generations that can do everything on them.
Jeff, you're sounding a bit old there, mate.
I know, can't help it.
Can I ask Jeff? Can I
Yes.
ask a question?
Yes, please do.
So when I got into to Joomla in the 2000s, late 2000s,
yep,
I looked at Artist Tier for a while as being a way to create website pages. This is slightly different, or majorly different, maybe,
yep,
insofar as it's dealing with the article component area, as opposed, which is more like the sort of the WordPress stuff that I'm used to with Divi and so forth, dealing with the
that's right. Divi is a good example.
But one of the big things that was always knocked with Artist Tier and is sometimes knocked with Divi is the sort of the extra bloatware, and I use that in sort of inverted commas, that impedes the performance of the website. How have you found this with Quick Builder?
No, this is just purely a page builder. So going backwards, Artist Tier used to build a template, and a very bloated template that could then be taken between a whole different lot of platforms, as you know. And yes. Artist Tier, even though it's not known as Artist Tier anymore, is still out there. They keep changing their name every few years. If you wanted to look at something that does the same sort of things as Artist Tier, there's Template Creator CK from Cedric over in France, which will build, and that's what I use to build our base templates with. Okay. They have nothing. When it gets converted over, all it takes over is the HTMLs, the CSS, and the Bootstrap. It doesn't take Bootstrap with it, but it has the Bootstrap calls and that in there to go straight into Joomla. So there's no framework that's gone across with it. You know how you use a different template, for instance, it might have, oh, geez, what's one of them? I just can't even think of a framework off the top of my head. But most of the template creators, most of the templates out there from different companies all have their own frameworks.
Yes. Gantry's and...
Gantry's a good one. Yeah, that's an example of a framework, and therefore a lot of bloat that you're taking over, a lot of stuff you may not ever use. With Template Creator, you are taking over a pure template as if you'd hand-coded it yourself.
Okay.
It's a graphical way of hand-coding, I call it, because you've got to know what you're doing when you're building your template. You've got to understand templates, I guess, and how they're put together, but you don't have to actually code them. So it takes the coding out of it, even though you can actually do your overrides and everything in there as well. And all that.
Can I just ask there, Jeff, by saying that, just sorry to check, what you mean there is you don't have to understand, because one of the big problems I had with Joomla in the early days was getting my head around modules and article positions and components. It just, so that part of it's taken care of. You don't have to consider it.
Yeah, I was going to say, actually, if someone wanted to get in and learn that properly, The template creator is a great way of learning it because you actually are building your module positions and everything yourself. You're just dropping them in like box form.
Mm-hmm.
And it really gives you a good understanding of, you know, how a template goes together and the floats of what's going to happen if, you know, you don't apply the right settings, for instance. You can see what happens and things like that. So it's a very good thing for someone to get into and actually learn the basics without having, you know, to write all the different code, the PHP and everything that's actually required. Pardon me. So I'd suggest anyone who wanted to play, it's, well, they haven't said that, you've got to buy it to play. But his prices are pretty good, and they're 12-month, I believe, from memory. I forget now. I've just got mine on auto renew. I used to use his page builder originally too, but Quix came out, and Quix just has got so many more features than, you know, I guess, to be fair, but he's one little guy working on his own. And it's like, can't think of his name, with Akiba backup, you know. Nicholas. He's like another Nicholas. He's got all these projects running and he's constantly updating them and keeping them rolling. So, you know, the guy's got to be congratulated for that. He's also sponsors our Joomla events. So that's, you know, I'm always supportive of people who sponsor our Joomla events. But yeah, so this, basically you design the template. Once you've got your base template there, that allows you to do things, like I said, you can do your headers, your footers the way you want them, the style the way you want them by just having the separate wrappers. And then the content area is where this all fits into. So if I don't put any side modules on or above content modules or anything like that, use them. They're still there, but I'm not using them, so therefore they're not visible. Then everything I design in here becomes the page. But if I did need, you know, I wanted to use side menu, like when I'm doing blog sites, I need I like to have the list of blogs and everything in the right-hand side. And so I use the side module there. It's there to be used, and I can use it. And all that happens is your content area just gets squished up a little bit. Simple as that. The fact
because
that
I noticed too, you've got many of the websites you've demonstrated, which are very modern. They're using the one-page style anyway, so you wouldn't want to have your side modules anyway. Footers, yes, but and headers, perhaps. But,
normally not, but it doesn't matter. It might be just on one page we're putting them or using them. So they're still there. And the other thing is, like I said, it's got the ability to actually draw modules straight in anyway, Joomla modules straight in. So, which we didn't actually. Did I get back?
Yes, it was a good point. Good point you made there.
So we can actually, you know, style the module the way we want, and then bring it straight in. So it's a nice way, and it's just when we go. Oh, no, I better not. Oh, I've saved it anyway, so it won't matter now. Damage is done. Close the site.
It's a live website, Jeff.
Do you have time, Jeff, or is it easy to give from an article a go?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yes, let's do that.
Yes.
Let's see if I have an article in. Oh, we'll create an article if I don't. Let's go back in there. We'll get out of here for a moment now. Have I got it? Content, articles. Where would I be without LastPass? New article. All right, edit with Quix. Is this, am I on the right line of what you're talking about?
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, that's. Oh, hang on, we haven't given it a name. Save it. Edit with Quix. Edit with Quix. Right.
Easy.
Yeah, what I might try about Nicola, that part's easy. We didn't actually put any normal content in there to start with. And it's automatically given it the name, of course, Article 1. So we'll just save it, take it back. Oh, hang on. Leave site. Oops. So let's back to Joomla editor. Okay.
Just copy
lot of
something
fingers.
from one of your other sites.
Yeah, and I've got sitting over here somewhere. I've got all text I was going to use tonight. There it is. So let's drop that in. CC, Control C. See if that works. Right, that'll do anyway. So then we go to, we'll save it again.
Yep.
Then edit with Quix. Okay. Right, so what's going to happen now? We'll just add a section in, 2 column. I'll just drop 2 modules in. I just pitch is the easiest. Apply. Just dummies, so we've got something there. Apply. Save it. Return. Yeah, I haven't got it's cut out the actual existing text that was there. So they must be still working on that.
It's a bit of a trap.
Yeah, it would be if you pulled in another website, you're going to lose your content.
Yeah, a bit serious.
So, yeah, sort of, I don't know. I'll be speaking to them tomorrow, actually, because we've got another issue at the moment. We need to make some more Jada Store components for us. So I'll put that in there as well, because my understanding was the last release had that updated.
So Jeff, you with content from an article, the standard Joomla article, and adding that, having that content load up into the template builder or the page builder. So it's got that ability to add the dynamic content.
That's what we were just testing, which doesn't seem to be happening at the moment.
But surely you don't have to use that element, which was the Joomla article. You don't have to pull it into itself, do you?
No. Generally the page builders will override. If you've got content in there, it will override that content and
that's right.
Create your page. There is another page builder is doing dynamic content now, but that's for another. I think Russell's doing a presentation on that later on. But
that's with the
UTheme.
UTheme, yes.
Yeah, they're first that have done it, but obviously, look, they're all going to go down that path.
Yeah, well, these guys said they had done it in the last release, so I'll now chase them backwards. I've either done something wrong, or I couldn't see how, really. You only got to push a button.
You might have to access that content from one of the elements.
Could be right too.
Can we quickly test that, Jeff? Paste that content back into the Joomla article and then come back in and pull in the, because it's assuming that it's gone now.
Assuming that it's gone now, yes. Return to the Joomla article, okay. No, that's still there, but it's only sitting there. It's not actually, once we edit with Quix, we're forgetting what's here and just going off the Quix.
So what happens? Go back to Quix?
What happens if I go from this end? Oh, that's only limited. Maybe they meant that.
Maybe go back to the page builder itself, Jeff, and insert a text element, for instance, and then see if you can actually link that text element with dynamic content to load the content in the page.
Yep, at the moment, but I think what they meant.
Do that, Jeff. Try saving it in Joomla.
Try what? Sorry.
Saving it.
Oh, saving it. Yes.
Save it in Joomla and then go back.
Talking about which? So at the moment, I've got something I've added there. Where's that going to show up now? Edit.
What?
I just inserted that.
Oh.
So what it's doing, it looks like it's only going to show what I've insert into the actual article. Like I inserted those with short codes. Now that's overridden my other anyway.
I find with the stuff that when I'm working with WordPress and using Divi,
yeah,
often what I need to do is put a title in, save it as draft, and then decide without anything else, then decide I'm going to use or indicate I'm going to use edit with Quix or Divi or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And that seems to work for me. That's not described on the in any of the manuals, but it just works for me. So that's what I do.
Yeah, I will speak to the guys tomorrow, and I'll post something in there so it can be passed around actually. Because my understanding, the way they explained it, was that it actually worked now where you could have dynamic content basically and work on existing content with Quix. The way it seems, well, actually, back to the Joomla editor. Okay. See, that was what I just put in there, but that's the only thing that's showing up as well.
But you wouldn't, in a realistic situation, say, again, in my WordPress Divi example, I wouldn't switch back and forth between the editors.
No,
So
you're probably
wouldn't
right.
switch and
But
forth.
what Nicola's talking about would be handy. Imagine you had an old site and you had some of the content.
Yes,
there
yes,
and you
sorry,
wanted,
that's good.
and you
point,
wanted to
Nicholas,
completely
sorry.
redesign it.
Yeah.
It'd be really
Yeah.
quick to
The
do
content that's in the article, the content that's in the article is separate from the stuff that Quix is maintaining. All the stuff that you built in Quix is living inside that tag, inside the square brackets.
Yes.
And whatever else was around the article in the first place is being ignored by the Quix builder.
That's right.
So, whatever else is in the article's content area is ignored by Quix for sure.
Yeah, like
But
independent
it's also
layers.
ignored by Joomla, because when we look at the page on the front end, it only shows the quick stuff now and not the actual text from the article.
If you displayed it
at the moment, it's not showing that text that's been ignored by Quix. It's not showing that in the front end, or
No, it's not showing this is some test text, and it's not showing is your PC down, blah, blah.
Oh, I won't actually haven't said that. I need to hook it up to something. So oops, geez, names. Save and close.
test.
Yeah.
Got a combination of both.
No, wrong page. Why have I gone to that? Oh, here we are. I've actually included in a page I've had saved.
There it is up there. This is some test text.
Yeah, yep.
And then you've got your square bracket inclusion here. And do you have the rest of it?
If I look at the, over, where are we? Get rid of that.
Yeah, Quix is kind of like a plug into the web server that's just processing that content between the square brackets and rendering it.
Yeah, what I did, but I put two pages together. So I took out, remember I said we had pre-saved sections we'd saved off and created? That's what I've inserted in.
Yeah.
So the rest of the text is down here. That was, remember I had the, all that's in there. That's our thing we've pre-saved. I just dropped it in with the short code, and then the rest of my text is down here that we just typed in.
So I guess the answer to my question then is you can, but you'd have to copy the existing article text and re-include it in the Quix builder to get a nice layout, because otherwise it's going to do this.
Exactly. Otherwise you'll end up with just wherever you put your short code in, that'll look nice, and the rest of it's going to look like garbage.
But if they're already used to going to the article to change the text, then you could do it by using the Quix builder within the article to reformat the page, and then they just click on they still go to the article, but then they just click on the edit with Quix button.
True. But it's not hard to teach them to use Quix in the back end. I suppose it could be dangerous too, but normally
No,
they only
this
touch what they want.
Quick, this is more for in WordPress Elementor. It's exactly the same version of Joomla. We use in WordPress Elementor and the page builder. It's same. It's exactly the same. You know, it's good to know that Joomla has a page builder like this. I never knew. Yeah.
Yes.
Do you think then, let's check I'm not muted here.
No,
do you
you're
think
good.
then maybe the thing we need to do, when there are two issues here, or two situations here. One is we have a new website from start, in which case people will be used to it. And then the other situation is where you've got existing content and you've got to train people to use this new method. But as Deca was saying there, it's nice that if you can train people to use this new method of doing things, they can drag and drop and what have you, which is much more intuitive than the old Joomla way of doing things, I would have thought.
And it saves you having to rebuild menus and do all of that if you can use it within the article, if it's an existing site.
Yep.
At what point would you say, in general, I suppose a general question when it comes to a page builder, regardless of what one you're using, at what point would you say, let's stop using a page builder because the site's too large? We should, or it's a brand new site, but you know it's going to be a large, you perceive it to be a large website. How long, at what point do you say, no, a page builder isn't suited for a site like this?
I still use a page builder for all my standard pages, if you like.
Yep.
Like my website there at the moment is just page builder, but I've got so many more things to implement into that. And well, the blog articles are there, for instance, set up as standard blog articles. So they're not part of page builder. I've got the help desk area and the ticketing and the knowledge base and all that'll be separate because I want that all running off the one database. So that'll all be separate. So yeah, there's nothing stopping you using the page builder, really just knock out your standard pages really quickly. And then of course, you know, if you're into documentation or something, you already have a way of, you know, a lot of documentation is auto-created even. Whatever way you've currently generate those vast number of pages is what you'll do. You won't have normal people putting, you know, using page builder, for instance, for hundreds of pages and that. You would auto-create them the way you do now, I guess.
I know that for my experience with one client, the site didn't start large, but it's become large. And we started from day one utilizing a page builder, and it's now ballooned out where it's not conducive to the current state of the page builder.
Especially if it's one of the page builders that still uses what I was talking about, like the module style, I guess, where you're just dropping in boxes and you can't see live even what you're doing. You just got to use your imagination until you look at it. That would become real cumbersome.
Well, I'm finding that I know, like the Utheme's dynamic content feature, I'm finding is something that's quite possibly the next stage for this site to go, to still use the template, but load the content in from the traditional Joomla article with fields and everything like that. So
yeah, which would be good. And these, like I said, these guys are obviously not there yet. They're meant to be there, but we'll speak about that. But it'll be interesting to see the Utheme's approach to that as well. The other thing is, I mean, just a shopping cart, for instance, that fashion shopping cart, I mean, that just by using a shopping cart, that's auto-generated 50 or 60 pages. I mean, that's all done out of a shopping cart. So once again, it didn't stop us building the actual base pages. But like you said, if you're building a documentation site or something like that, I would say that you would have to have a much better better method of doing it in-house, where the pages are just fed in and auto-generated.
Yeah, I mean, quite intrigued by the J2 store implementation within a page builder. I think that's very interesting.
They've done quite well there. They've linked up. So is UThemes, I believe, as well. I think it's, well, we'll find out. Who's doing that, Russell? Quietness.
So do you think, Jeff, that moving forward, that there will only be, I mean, this page builder is much better than the current system. I mean, there's a lot of hope and a lot of positivity about Joomla 4.
Yeah.
But it needs to have this page builder functionality, because, you know, it's not just Joomla versus WordPress. It's Joomla versus WordPress versus Wix versus Squarespace versus, goodness knows what other page builders there are out there.
That's true. I mean, just WordPress, but I mean, WordPress have their own block builder now. But of course, that's not all the way there. So people tend not to use their block builder still. They'll use something like Elementor, Divi, or whatever they're accustomed to, which they still have the capability of doing. And I guess looking at Joomla will, going forward, I guess ultimately it will build its own form of that as well, its own sort of block builder. But once again, these third-party block builders people will stick to for a long time to come.
I don't think that that's in the roadmap on the core at the moment.
No, probably not.
But as the Tiny MCE guys last year were pointing out, if Joomla incorporates, so Joomla 4's got the latest Tiny MCE in it, and it's got the extensibility now that you can have Tiny MCE extensions that then do parts of this. So I think that's probably where Tiny MCE are looking at getting their foot in the door to extend the default editor to do more things.
Well, it's advantageous for them to work along with us, I guess, because that's where their money comes from, is their extensions. The editor is free. But yes, no more questions. Yes.
That was great, Jeff. Thanks.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you. I didn't do what I planned to do for the demo, but that doesn't matter. Why do that when you destroy a real site? It's all right. That's why you have someone working for you now, see? They can fix it. My name will be mud tomorrow.
No.
Anyway, not to worry. Right then, guys. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you,
very
Jeff.
much.
Thanks for the questions. It was
Thank
good.
you very much, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Cheers.
Ah.